Hello, this chapter is on bivariate data. That means two variables in our data, and we're looking for the relationship between those two variables. So there's a response variable and an explanatory variable. Here are some definitions, but I don't think they're very good. Basically, what you need to know is your y is typically your response. That's the thing that you're trying to measure in the study. And your explanatory variable, we typically graph uh, on the x-axis, and that's typically the information we have. So we take this, and this is what we're trying to measure in our study. Now, if Julie looks at some data and she says, I can predict students' SAT scores if I know their SAT verbal score, which one's the explanatory and which one's the response variable? Well, let's take our explanatory variable here and let's make it black. So she knows the SAT verbal scores. So that is going to be your explanatory variable. What she wants to predict, predicting is the response. She wants to predict their SAT math score based off of this. So your response is the SAT math score, and the explanatory is your verbal. Now, when you're doing this, what you want to do is you want to make a plot out of it. So what you do is make a scatter plot. Now, to make a scatter plot by hand, uh, you look at the data. You have two variables, and you plot them here. To plot these data points on a graph, you take this data point, 5.1, and you go to 5, you go to 0.1, and you make a dot. Then you take the next one, 2.03, and you make another dot. 9.19, and you make another dot. And you keep filling in the graph until you fill in all the data points. Some key things, make sure you scale your axis, both axes accordingly. Scale your axes first before you start putting on any points. Make sure you label both of the axes. Sometimes people put a title at the top, and you can, but that's not always necessary. Now, the graph eventually looks like this if you graphed all of the data points. Now, to do this on your calculator, you take out your trusty calculator. I already put in the data points, so if you want to pause the video and put in the data points, go right ahead and do that. And now hit second y equals to the scatter plot. Now this is the first data point right there. Now I have some different data in here. Uh, it, I want to make sure this first one says L1 and the second one says L2. To type in your list, you hit second and then the number. So second 2 corresponds with list 2. And once I have those two, I can hit zoom. Oh, my calculator was weird. Now come out here, zoom 9. And here's my scatter plot. And notice that that looks fairly similar to the scatter plot here. Now I want you guys to make a scatter plot that could predict SAT score if we know the GPA. So we know the GPA and we want to predict SAT score. So before you start graphing, think about which variable is your response variable and then graph accordingly. Good luck.